Morning, everybody. I thought I would come down here and I'd tell you about what happened yesterday with the trip to Cumberland Island. It started off being a wonderful day, and it still was a wonderful day, but it ended with a bang. Just to orientate yourself, this is our slip right there. You can see scallywags back at the dock. And I'm going to point out some things, but just to explain, we had a kind of an engine malfunction during the tide rushing out, and Layla fell overboard, and it was becoming dark, and I got the engine going, and we kind of crashed into our slip. But let me explain how this all went down. Okay, so Cumberland Island is just around the other side of that point right there, and when we come back, you go back and forth in the river. And then as we were coming around this turn, this was the last turn before we go to our slip right there. And what had happened was we made this turn and Layla fell overboard. The current was going that way, as it is right now. You can see how the boats are all pointed in that direction. Layla was fighting against the current to get back to the boat. We slowed it down and we turned around, and we were still in gear and still motoring. And we turned around and Layla was coming towards the boat, and it looked like she was going to go underneath the boat. And that's where the propeller is on the motor. So what we did was, Vicky was like, cut the engine. So I cut the engine off, and Layla ended up being on the outside of the boat. We grabbed her, get her back on the boat, and then we go start the boat up again. Meanwhile, the boat's drifting towards the marsh on the far side over there, and towards that dock. I go to start the motor back up, and it does not start. Did a quick troubleshoot, couldn't figure it out, and Vicky's like, we got to drop the anchor. So I throw the anchor down, and I let out enough scope where it put the boat up right against the dock right over here. And the current was just pushing us that way. We had no way to go anywhere. So with us at anchor, Layla back aboard, I take apart the engine cowl, and I see that the engine's still in gear, even though we were manipulating the lever into neutral. The boat will not start unless it's in neutral. So with it still being in gear, it would not start. Grabbed some pliers, some screwdrivers, some wire, and I got the part back connected. We were able to start the motor and move forward. What had happened was the cable that controls the clutch, or putting it into neutral and forward and reverse, had become disconnected from that lever. The cable has a little peg that fits into a hole on the lever, and the peg had come out of the hole. So I was using the wiring to kind of hold it back into that hole. And we got the motor going, we got the anchor going, and we started coming back here. And when we get back into our slip, the current's coming this way. And so I want to turn around and come in real slow. And, because there's the end of the slip right here at the bottom of the gangplank. Well, I make that turn, and we're coming in. And usually what you do is you put the boat into reverse to slow your movement into the slip area. Well, I put it into neutral. So I thought, and then I put it into reverse, and then I gave it a little bit of gas to stop the boat, and it pushed the boat faster into here. And from basically there to here, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, we only had like that much distance. And the boat was propelling itself faster. It would have been better if I had not engaged the thrust into what I thought was reverse, but it was still stuck in forward drive, and it pushed it further in here faster. All I had time to say was, we're going to hit, brace yourself, we're going to collide. And, that was it. There was nothing we could do. We came to an abrupt stop, and we hit right there on the front of the boat up against this pylon right here. And we came into it kind of fast too. You can see the damage right there. And so we hit this pylon. What had happened was the cable had come undone from that lever again, and so it was still in a forward drive. I could lower the RPMs, and I could even stop the boat, but because I thought I was in reverse and I floored it to slow the boat coming in here, it actually accelerated it coming in here. And let's see here, here's the damage right And we hit that. So, thinking about it after the fact is always fun, but if Layla had not fallen overboard, we would have come in like normal, made our turn, and then come in, and then I would have not have expected anything, and we would have just crashed right away, and I would have like not had a clue what happened or why it happened. Because Layla fell overboard and we had stopped the motor and we couldn't get it going again, I figured out what was happening. And so when we came in, I kind of knew what was up. So projects right now are going to be to fix this damage right here, and of course fix the cable. So taking apart the motor housing, there's two little levers here, and this one is for the gas, and then the one below is for the throttle, or I'm sorry, not the throttle, but the engaging into forward and reverse, and you can see it is not connected. Well, anyway, props to Vicky, who handled herself well under that emergency. So glad that Layla didn't drown, and I'm so glad that nobody got hurt. Just a boat got hurt, but that's not a big deal. Vicky was like, oh, if we had had time, she would have put like a bumper right there, you know, one of these little bumper guys, and to protect the boat. But we would have still come to that abrupt stop, and then she would have actually flown off of the boat into all of that. And so I'm glad that she didn't have the foresight or the time to try and rush up to the front and put a bumper up there. Having everybody safe is the most important thing. A little bit of fiberglass damage is another. But this is our new docks that we're gonna have here soon. They're installing the electrical work right now. And our spot is gonna be the second one in. So we're gonna be like right here. That's our spot. And all of this will be torn out because this is in kind of poor shape, if you can tell. But all right, scallywags. Until next time.